You go ahead and call roll, and we'll begin this board meeting. We'll be respectful of everybody's time. Andrew, roll call, please.
Sounds good. Trustee Levine,
Here.
Trustee Feingold,
I did hear Trustee Feingold on the phone.
I did as well. Okay, I have her in. Trustee Busani,
Here.
Trustee Cavillo,
Here.
Trustee Kane,
We'll be late.
Trustee Davis, Trustee Dunn,
Here.
Trustee Ellison,
Here.
Trustee Flippo,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Trustee Murphy, Trustee Paez,
Here.
Trustee Stock.
Yeah.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you, and thank you for everybody who's joined. The way it will go today is I will give the chair's report for those who don't have the agenda. Then the President Volnick will give her report, and then we will have public comment. Mr. LaPlante will go over the rules for public comment at that time, but it is in the first part of the meeting. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending. This week marks the return of students to our campus for the fall semester, and classes will start next week. President Volnick has more to say about the semester, but on behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome back all the returning students, faculty, and a special shout out to all the incoming freshmen. You've chosen a great time to join the university, and we welcome all of you to the OWL family. Since our last meeting, FAU and Brevard Health have finalized agreement for the establishment of an FAU academic medical center at Brevard North Hospital. As you will recall from this excellent presentation that Rebecca Napier and Audra Lazarus gave us in June, this is a transformational event for FAU Health, and we are pleased to be moving to the implementation stage of this agreement and look for exciting news in the days ahead. We're hoping to have an announcement in late October or November on the naming. Also, since our last meeting, we've had some, and that's to be generous, developments in the presidential search. After months of meetings, public forums, and candidate interviews, a thorough consideration and discussion and deliberations, our committee met on July 5th and reported out 3 exceptionally well-qualified finalists for the board's consideration. I would also like to again thank the people who served on the search committee. They are community and university leaders, and they worked incredibly hard for us to define the position, guide the search, and consider 63 applicants, one of the most successful application pools in the SUS history, and vote out 3 finalists. Dr. Michael Hartwell, Dean of the Business College at FSU, Vice Admiral Sean Buck, Superintendent of the Naval Academy, and Dr. Jose Sartinelli, former Chancellor of the UNC Wilmington campus. I am both proud of and grateful for the search committee's efforts. Following the selection of the finalists, we announced the schedule of public events with the finals that were to occur on the week of July 10th. These events would have provided our campus communities the opportunity to meet and interact with each of these finalists and provide us feedback for consideration as we made the final selection. We received lots of positive expressions of excitement for these events. Unfortunately, on Friday, July 7th, just before the finalists were set to begin on the following Monday, the Board of Governors Chancellor Ray Rodriguez wrote me and requested that the search be suspended. The basis for this request was referred to as, quote, anomalies, that were alleged to have occurred during the search. The chancellor identified 2 areas of concern. The first involved a preference survey that the committee members utilized when determining which applicants they wanted to interview. At the time, we had nearly 60 applicants. Which of the applicants they wanted, we had nearly 60 applicants. At that time, rather than taking an exorbitant amount of effort and time, we were required to discuss all 60. Trustee Feingold made a wise proposal that the committee members individually submit a list of their top candidates to the search consultant, who would then compile everyone's preferences and share that list with the committee. The expectations was that this would allow us to demonstrate some consensus who would be the most attractive candidates, and the committee would focus its time and discussions on these names rather than just all 60. The Board of Governors representative on the committee, Governor Alan Levine, enthusiastically endorsed Trustee Feingold's suggestion, saying that he had used similar methodologies on many previous searches and that it was an excellent way for the committee to efficiently consider a large candidate pool. I agreed with Trustee Feingold's and Governor Levine's suggestion and authorized our consultant to administer a survey electronically to the committee members. The committee members spent the next few weeks individually reviewing the applicants' materials and submitting their preferences to the consultant. At the committee's next meeting, the consultant presented the results of the preference survey, and the committee did exactly what Governor Levine had predicted it would do: quickly identified a top group of applicants to discuss. But importantly, the preference survey was just that, simply a survey. It was a tool to expedite the committee's deliberations by aggregating initial assessments of the candidates. It was not a vote. And at its next meeting, the committee thoroughly discussed the candidates, even including some that were not appeared to be in the highly part of the survey results. And then together we voted on whom we would invite for interviews. I would note during that process, committee members actually introduced more than the candidates in the highly qualified category, which were all discussed. And every candidate in the highly qualified category received a vote or a note to be considered by the search committee. The Chancellor's letter questioned whether the use of the preference survey violated the provision of the law governing presidential searches. That is a brand new law that was just passed last year, so there are no cases to interpret it. However, we received the opinion of one of the foremost constitutional lawyers that the committee's use of the survey's preference did not violate the law. If any trustees would like a copy of that survey, that opinion letter, feel free to ask and we will share it with you. The second area of the Chancellor's concerns involved 2 items of the applicants that were asked to complete that included questions about the candidate's sexual orientation and gender identity. These items were sent to the candidate by our consulting firm, AGB Search. They were not sent out by FAU. The first item was a voluntary survey that AGB utilizes in all their searches nationwide to help them gauge diversity of the applicants pool they generate. The second was a background authorization form they sent to candidates who were selected to interviews. On the second, the Board of Governors regulations governs presidential searches and requires the search committee to vet applicants who are interviewed and reviewed by public records and online sources. And the questions on the authorization form are intended to ensure that the records being reviewed do in fact relate to the candidate and not to someone else who might have the same name. It would be inappropriate for the committee to have considered sexual orientation or gender identity of candidates when making decisions. However, this did not happen. Neither the committee nor the university had any knowledge of these questions being asked by the candidates, nor of any candidates' responses. These items were submitted directly to the directly by the candidates to AGB Search, with no university personnel copied or even informed about them. Even the AGB Search consultants who worked with us were not provided the candidates' responses. Those responses were used solely by AGB for the internal purposes and were never, ever shared with the committee. Accordingly, those questions and responses played absolutely no role whatsoever in the committee's decision to process. In response to the chancellor's letter, I suspended our search and instructed our staff to work thoroughly and expeditiously with the Board of Governors staff in responding to their requests. The chancellor directed the Board of Governors Inspector General to review our search process, and the university's chief compliance and ethics officer has provided the Board of Governors IG with thousands of pages of requested materials. The Board of Governors IG informed us that she has been requested to report her findings to the Board of Governors within 120 days, which means sometime in November. We hope she will complete her review sooner. For these reasons I've just stated, we feel strongly that our search complied with all legal requirements, and we would like to resume our search as soon as possible. None of our 3 finalists have removed themselves from our search, and I hope we will have a chance to meet them soon. We will, of course, keep you advised as things proceed. I would also like to note that the FAU search has been closely reported on by most of the Florida news outlets, including a few international outlets with more than 20 articles written and TV news coverage. And our local newspapers appear to be continuing to watch and report on this issue. And with that, I would turn it over to President Volnick for her remarks. President Volnick.
Thank you, Chair Levine. As you said, I'll provide an update on our incoming class. But first, we held commencement last week, graduating more than 1,800 students with nearly 1,400 walking in the 3 ceremonies held last week. And for those of us that were there and I shook the hand of all 1,800, it's a reminder of why we're here and what mission we serve, and that is our students. And speaking of our students, we are ready to welcome in one of our largest first time in college classes ever, with 4,430 students starting next week, some of which are moving in today. Our new, for transfer students, we have 1,759 transfer students starting as well. I also want to report on an initiative that's been in its 2nd year in the Provost Office, and that's a partnership with Study Group, which recruits international students. We have 364 new international students starting, with a total of 750 students just in our 2nd year of this program. Convocation is this Friday, where faculty administration will officially welcome our freshman class in a formal ceremony. I'll also say that Dr. Ivy and I had the privilege last week of greeting our new faculty in our new faculty orientation. A little on university operations and business. We had a budget redesign kickoff meeting with ELT and Deloitte yesterday to discuss phase 2 of the process. More to come in future updates on that, but the board's well aware that we are, as I said, starting phase 2 of the budget redesign, which we hope will be a much more efficient use of university funds. I have some good news to report. As you recall from our update on Final Four, we had $1.9 billion in earned media. I'm happy to report that the FAU Public Affairs and Athletics media team received wonderful recognition for the exposure generated by the incredible run to the Final Four. The Gold Coast PR Council, which is South Florida's largest independent group of PR, marketing, and communications professionals from Palm Beach, Broward, and Martin and Dade County, awarded FAU its 2023 PR Star Award. It's their top award. The award was presented to Lisa Metcalf in Public Affairs and Katrina McCormick in Athletics and Evan Shomo in Athletics. It's just really fantastic to see the hard work and the wonderful collaboration rewarded. We know that it showed in the earned media, as I said, 1.9 billion, but it's now been recognized by the largest PR firm in South Florida. And then closed, in interest of time, I just want to say that I'm looking forward. The fall semester is heavily packed with student events, faculty functions, athletics events, donor functions, and I really look forward to continuing to collaborate with our faculty and our students and in working with our donors and supporters. They've been wonderful to me since January and in the years prior in this role, in my former role, and I look forward to spending time with them in the suite, cheering our Owls on to victory. So thank you, Chair.
Um,
This is Trustee Feingold. I'd like to speak.
We have Trustee Feingold. We're going to have trustee remarks at the end for all the trustees.
No,
to
I
speak.
can't wait till the end. I'm on an international call. This will not last that long. I'm in waters, and I'd like to speak now because I don't know if I'll be on at the end of the call.
Okay, Trustee Feingold, feel free. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back. This has nothing to do with President Volnick's statements. They're all terrific about FAU, and I appreciate everything she had to say. But I need to address things that Mr. Levine has brought up. Number one, that search committee, we all agreed to NDAs, that there would be non-disclosures. And I am really angry. At this point, I'm not only angry at what was put out in the newspapers from Mr. Levine, others in the community, I don't know how they got their information, and Dick Schmidt, who wrote an op-ed. And I'd really like to know what's going to happen to Dick Schmidt, how the university is going to go after him, because he was not supposed to be putting any information out there. And not only that, but speaking for other search committee members. He had no right to speak for me and other search committee members who absolutely did not agree with his opinion. The same with you, Mr. Levine. You put information out there into the community, into newspapers, with editorial boards, and not everybody on that search committee is in agreement with you either. Now, I'm not only on that search committee, but I'm also a vice chair of the Board of Trustees. And I resent the fact that you've been talking for all of us, which you shouldn't because of the NDA. And I resent the fact that today you're talking for me out of turn on a meeting that's not supposed to be out there for public information yet. That's why the Board of Governors got involved. And that's why the Inspector General is involved. Because there were not only anomalies, there were ethics violations and a lot of irregularities. You might be painting a certain picture, but it's not an accurate and true picture. And I resent that. And there are other people in the community, in the state, involved with the state, local people, elected officials, and people on this board. They're not happy with you not presenting the truth. And we have a problem with that. And I have a problem with what you've presented today. You've basically painted an entire picture. You should not have done any of that. You should have left it up to the Board of Governors and the Inspector General to do their proper investigations. And I think, you know, I just don't understand where you, as a chair of the board, and you self-appointed yourself chair of the search committee, to behave in such a manner and to go out there and speak to the public when you had no right to, and you have no right to now. There's an investigation here. And when you talk about your wonderful finalists, none of which I voted for, and I'm talking out of turn by saying I didn't vote for them, and I'll tell you the reason why. 2 of them I didn't vote for, and a few other people did not vote for because they paid attention. 2 of those candidates had violations, ethics violations. One in the military, one who lied under oath. That's a problem for us to put in as a president of a university. The other candidate is retired. And why is he a retired chancellor of a university? Because he had a board of trustees that voted him out in a no confidence vote. And we were going to consider putting one of those two finalists in as a president of a research university in Florida. And you had a member of that committee who stated that it would never get past the Board of Governors, and yet you had people voting for these people because you, Mr. Levine, and AGB were not forthcoming enough in presenting that information as we went through these candidates. And that's a problem. And that's what I'd like to say today, and that's why I'm saying it now. And I am an angry member of the Board of Trustees because this was not handled well from the very beginning. There were problems from the very beginning. And there were a lot of manipulations within that search committee. And that's what the Board of Governors and the Inspector General is reviewing now. And they will review it to the fullest extent, and they will take the full amount of time. Your letter, Mr. Levine, that you sent to the Board of Governors, you demanding them what they should be doing, demanding them a time frame, was highly inappropriate, was highly embarrassing, and was very shameful for FAU. And you've put us in a very bad place in this state because of the things that you wrote and the things that you have said. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Well, Trustee Feingold, thank you for your comments. I would appreciate going forward that you would refer to me as Chair Levine.
Chair Levine, may I talk? It's Linda Stark.
Trustee Stock, we actually have trustee remarks at the very end for every trustee.
This is to the point of what Trustee Feingold said, and a few things that you said, if that's okay. Won't take long.
I would prefer to have all the trustee remarks at the exact same time.
This is not a remark. I'm addressing something that you personally said in your report, if that's okay.
All right. 2 minutes, Trustee Stock,
Okay,
and then we will move on to the public comments. Trustee
Okay, you
Stock.
said the following: it is warranted for a state university search in Florida. We are taking appropriate and aggressive action with AGB search to address that. You spoke about the questions about the sexual orientation and gender, and you said, but even when we learn more, our opinion is remaining the same. I'm asking you this question: what actions did you take? You said that you were going to take immediate and meaningful actions against AGB, and it was quoted in your correspondence with the newspaper. And my question is, what actions did you take?
AGB has been put on notice.
Thank you for that.
And we are going through the investigation now.
Okay, and then another question I had was, just the past weekend, the Sun Sentinel published an op-ed about our search, in which they summarized written views by members of the community, and you were quoted in this editorial. I'm just asking respectfully, why do you continue to speak with the media about the search while it is under investigation? And also, given that you are a member of the search committee and theoretically signed an NDA yourself, is what you are doing legal?
You have the editorial in front of you. Can you just read my quote?
I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately.
Would you prefer for me to read my quote?
Sure.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Brad Levine told the Sun Sentinel editorial board, "We welcome comments and criticisms from the public. We encourage participation." End quote.
Well,
that is exactly my quote.
yes.
And I do encourage participation from the public, both criticisms and comments. I will at that turn it over, and we'll have trustee comments at the end. We will go to public comment now. Andrew, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do.
Would you please let all the public comments know how this will work and their time allocation?
Sure. Each public comment gets up to 3 minutes. I have a timer here. I'll let you know when 30 seconds are left. And then when 3 minutes is up, I'll say completed and we'll go to the next public comment.
Thank you. And go ahead and begin public comment.
Okay, our first public comment is from Dr. Rebecca Andre. Dr. Andre, are you on?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to thank you for your recent efforts to identify 3 what I thought were solid presidential candidates. I hope you can resume the interview process soon. I'm sorry Dr. Volnick isn't at the top because I believe she's done and is doing a stellar job leading a university. My background, I earned a PhD from Ohio State University in higher education and policy and leadership. I certainly feel for you all. I also understand the incredible value of a public education that encourages people to think for themselves. I earned 3 degrees at Ohio State, which expanded my thinking and opened my mind, much like FAU accomplishes with students and anyone who crosses its path. FAU needs a president with extensive higher education experience. FAU has many different facets and is vastly important to the region and the state. A brain drain is currently robbing Florida of faculty, teachers, students, employees, and businesses. Let's please learn from history. Please help stop this 1938 Germany scenario and 1984 doublespeak from playing out any longer. Please continue to vote your conscience and uphold academic freedom. Thank you all.
Okay. Next, we have Howard Weiner. Mr. Weiner, are you on the line?
Yes, thank you.
You may begin.
Right, it's Dr. Howard Weiner.
Weiner, sorry, Dr. Weiner.
No problem. I'm an enthusiastic donor and would just say at the beginning that my understanding is 70% of donor monies come from the community. So we are a significant force in what goes on regarding FAU. I love FAU. I love what it stands for. Academically, from STEM to STEAM, from one athletic venue to another, on its way to being rated as an R1 institution. Culturally, with 40% first-generation collegiates, ranked 41st in social mobility by U.S. News and World Report. Diversity and inclusion has resulted by promoting the fair treatment and full participation of all students. FAU is on its way to being ranked in the top 100 public universities in the country. How has this happened? Obviously, through the selfless commitment from all university participants. And where does that start? Always at the top, with the president, and most recently with President John Kelly and Stacy Volnick. A president of a university typically needs a doctorate in education, economics, or a related field. That person must always have a proven record of success in higher education, typically gained by working as a university professor or administrator. A college president is always a leader first, forwarding the university's goals by meetings with trustees, faculty, students, and state education representatives. What does all this mean? It mandates that the next FAU president should be inclusive rather than divisive, thoughtful rather than dogmatic, and kind rather than hateful. The president must be an educator, not a partisan politician. The preamble to the Constitution of the United States starts with "we the people." Interestingly, the W flipped upside down is M, which would make it "me the people," the antithesis of what our founding fathers had in mind. The FAU Board of Trustees, ably leadered by Brad Levine, has performed, and the search committee has performed thoroughly and honorably. The presidential search must continue without outside interference.
30 seconds, Dr. Weiner. None? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Next
for
we-
the privilege.
Next, we have Adrian Percival. Adrian, are you on the line?
I am. Hello.
Hello, you may begin.
Thank you. I am a proud graduate of FAU. I returned to get my master's degree in my 40s while raising young children. It took me 3 years. I learned a tremendous amount, both inside the classrooms and in the less formal settings on campus. I'm very grateful that the program I was part of had an internship option. Through that internship, I worked at a nonprofit. I then was hired as soon as I graduated, and here 8 years later, I am the director of development for that nonprofit. I'm very concerned to see my alma mater being used in this way by the governor. This university has spent decades of deliberate planning, positioning itself as a leader in this community. The website encourages future students to attend, saying, quote, dedicated faculty and innovative programming create opportunities to dive into high quality research, scholarship, and creative experiences from the moment you step onto campus. The university needs someone to lead it who has a background in higher education and resonates with the purpose and mission of this school. I support the search committee continuing its job without this unprecedented interference from the governor. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Next, we have Sheila Jaffe. Is Sheila Jaffe on? Sheila, okay. Next, we have Arthur Gutterman. Is Arthur Gutterman on?
I believe Sheila Jaffe is preparing. You're on mute, though.
Well, we can have Arthur Gutterman go first, and we'll come back to Sheila. Does that sound good?
Please, well, let's do that. And as soon as Sheila's available, we'll go back to her.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gutterman, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I want to thank you and the trustees for the opportunity to speak today. I speak as a transplant from Chicago, and I have been involved with the university for the last 15 years. And I got involved in the state was cutting programs to the school and taking away sponsorship from certain organizations, which I became active in. Over the past 15 years, I've seen the school grow. I've seen the influence of Dr. Kelly and how he brought the school up from a C-rated school to an A-rated school. And he has done it by attracting a phenomenal faculty, team spirit, and has increased the diversity of the students on campus. He's made an environment that has been absolutely phenomenal. And to see the clock being turned back for petty politics is absolutely disgusting. I thought Trustee Feingold was totally out of line with her venom and shows that she does not have the mental or smarts to be on this committee or be a trustee of the school. I am finding as a significant donor that people that I am trying to solicit for new buildings on the campus, like the Wallach Center, the College for Holocaust and Human Rights, people are saying to me, I'm holding off making a donation. And as Howard Weiner said, 70% of the donors' money come from Boca Raton. And if these people start holding back their contributions, it's going to limit the scope of things that the school can do. I'm a strong supporter of the trustees, and I think that Brad Levine has done an outstanding job of keeping everything above board and transparent. And I think Trustee Richard Schmidt had every right to say whatever he said, and he probably spoke for a majority of the community.
30 seconds, Mr. Gutterman.
And I thank you for the time.
This is Sheila Jaffe. I believe my sound is working now.
Yes, you may begin.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're ready.
Okay. FAU is fortunate to have outstanding business leaders and benefactors on its Board of Trustees. Richard Schmidt and family have led South Florida science and medical advancements through their commitment to leadership and educational opportunities at FAU. Brad Levine, the chair of the Board of Trustees, stated that his major initiative is to make FAU Health the dominant medical institution in Palm Beach, Broward, and Martin counties, perhaps the nation. These contributions and enrichment to the business and medical community in South Florida is particularly important to me as a former business owner of Jaffe Printing Corporations in Boca Raton. Prior to moving to Florida, I had 18 years of clinical medical experience, including cancer research, infection control, microbiology, and science education while living in Philadelphia. I am a member of the alumnus of Thomas Jefferson University and Medical College. I am hopeful these community leaders will move FAU forward in the presidential search and advance FAU with the selection of a president worthy of FAU. The selection, which has been put on hold since July 11th, must continue now among the three previous excellent candidates and the high degree of respect for their qualifications. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Mr. LaPlante, I would also note Trustee Kane and Trustee Murphy are also on the call.
Understood. Thank you very much, Chair Levine. Next, we have Rebecca Louder. Is Rebecca Louder on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm hoping that you can hear me.
We can hear you. You may begin when you're ready.
And I do have but here's my video. Hi. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with the Board of Trustees today. I'm going to speak from the heart. I had prepared remarks. FAU is very important to me. I've spent 34 years and 8 days as an employee here, as a professor. I'm an associate dean. I'm in charge of buildings that did not exist when I came here. I've gone through 34 years of presidential searches. And what is hurting me the most right now, as a faculty member, as an employee who believes with all my heart, this is a great place. Whenever we have these huge periods between strong leadership, where we don't give people the opportunity to make decisions for our institution, we have wonderful Dr. Volnick, who does not have the power to really lead us the way our president will. We're being told we have to wait for the new president before many of our initiatives can move forward. We've heard from donors. We've heard from a lot of stakeholders in our community who are waiting for us to continue our distinctive path. And we're waiting and waiting. And what's happened in the leadership here, which I'm not sure every trustee is aware, we have wonderful people at our institution who are trying at their utmost to uplift us and keep us going while we're waiting. But that has caused gaps as they leave their positions and try and fill in other gaps. That means everything here has come to a standstill. So I'm going to read my prepared remarks now. I believe very strongly in the public institution. I believe in FAU. So here is what I would like to say. FAU should continue the presidential search as soon as possible while we have viable candidates available. The BOG's investigation delay puts FAU into a disadvantaged position. It makes FAU look dysfunctional and unprofessional. And I want to say that again. You saw my name in the press in the Sun Sentinel. As a matter of public record, I emailed Andrew and I said, please share my views with the Board of Trustees. And so that's why that's in the newspaper. But let me say again, we look terrible. The optics are bad. I am ashamed at how FAU is being displayed in my community. I live in East Boca. I wear my FAU t-shirt. Everywhere I go, people say, are you with FAU? My child goes there. I'm an alum. the community is behind us. So I would like to say, please continue this process of the search. Advocate, you, the board, advocate to get this going as quickly as possibly so we can fill our gaps. FAU deserves to be regarded by our community as a distinctive institution because we are. You can fix that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Anderson. Is Anthony Anderson on the line?
Yes. Good morning, President and board members. I'm a third generation resident of Martin County. I graduated from FAU in 1979. In 2017, I was the recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award from the College of Arts and Letters. The university has always been near and dear to me, for it laid the foundation of the successful career I have had. It equipped me with what I needed to go out and become successful. I will always be indebted to FAU. I have always supported FAU and would like to continue to do that because it means just that much to me. I have had over 40 years in the workplace career. I worked Grumman Aircraft Systems, aerospace engineering. I've been Florida retired educator over about 30 years. I've also been an elected public official. I was elected to Martin County School Board in 2018, and I served from 2018 to 2022. Sadly, I know so well what you guys are up against. Being a school board member, I was also in a superintendent search, and I know we had over, I think, 40 people we had to call through, and we finally nailed it down to one. Now, I wouldn't be feeling too good if I were you guys, and you had to go through all of that just to have someone come in and tell you to stop it. Here's what I'll say. We're living in a highly politicized world today, and it's just so sad. It's almost like a wildfire. And I just wish that somehow the wildfire will stop at FAU and let us resume normality. I mean, this thing is insane. It's unbelievable with what's happening. And you guys, my heart go out to you. I support you in any way that I can. Just hang in there. We're living in unprecedented times. And as I refer to the wildfire, my dad told me once, a wildfire will eventually burn itself out, but only after it has done a lot of damage. And Lord knows we're seeing a lot of damage. This wildfire will end, but where will it leave us? It's just sad to see what's happening. And then I'll say to you all, stand up, hold your ground. You were there for a purpose, to do your job. Someone once said that the hottest place in hell should be reserved for those who saw wrong and did not speak up. Speak up, hold your ground, do the right thing, no matter what it costs you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, we have Laura Skeets-Friedkin. Is Laura Friedkin on? Okay. Next, we have a Dr. Emily Sachs. Is Dr. Sachs on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Dr. Sachs. You may begin.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So just a brief background. I'm faculty in the College of Business. I'm also a faculty senator as well. And I've been in higher education since 2003. And also I have a corporate nonprofit and a consulting background. So I bring this all into the higher education realm here. And I want to say that what everyone has been saying right now in my 20 plus years in higher education, I've seen all of this. But what I want to do is keep it clinical right now. The thing that we're addressing right now is how this presidential search has gone wrong. And we have been through fair process, right? Everything is about fair process in this. We have followed all of the guidelines that we were supposed to follow through the Board of Governors. And I think that's the biggest thing, and just to go back to it, Chair Levine, you talked about, we had over 60 candidates when we first started. And we wanted the public to be involved. So we've had between faculty meetings, between public meetings, we had the listening sessions. We went through all of that because we want that input. We want that participation. And I think that's what's most important to all of us, is that we're representing our community. And providing what they need. So going through this, and then, look back at, when we went in June, the Presidential Search Committee, per Board of Governor regulations and requirements, we provided the executive compensation report guidelines for the BOT, the guidelines for how the interviews would go for the 6 semifinalists. Everything was in place with that. And then again, following the Board of Governor regulations, as far as, giving a minimum of 21 days between when the committee presented the finalists to the Board of Trustees and when they would give that vote. So, everything was there. We were following everything that we were supposed to be doing. And all emotions aside, everything, what we're doing is we're trying to provide the best candidates. And our search committee was that was their goal. So if you look at what they're doing, they really are trying to provide for the community. So everything that everyone is saying, it all falls down into fair process. If we are following those guidelines, then that's what we should be providing for president. And that's why I think, with our 3 finalists that we had for this, there should be some trust in the system, because we're in fact following that system. So here we are.
30
really
seconds, Dr. Sachs.
Thank you. I really hope that this is, what we provide for our community at FAU and the overall community from what we've done, actually following what we're supposed to be doing and following Board of Governor guidelines.
Thank you. Next, we have Maurice Plow Jr.
Here, I'm on.
Okay, you may begin.
Thank you. My name is Maurice Plow, and I have been a donor of FAU. I have served as a former on the foundation board. I've also served as a chair and president of many organizations in South Florida. First of all, I want to start off and say thank you to the sitting interim president. She is doing a great job, as well as the chair of the board here, Brad Levine. I believe that both of you are trying to go through the storm and keep FAU in the forefront of our community, and I appreciate all your services. I would also say that the integrity that was questioned of the search committee was so wrong that they are leaders of the school and the community. These people know exactly what the rules are, because I know the council for FAU has gone over with foundation members what we can and cannot say and I feel very confident that David knows the laws. So I am very confident that the people who speak on their own or speak on behalf of FAU are very conscious about what they can and cannot say. And to challenge anybody's integrity on the board of speaking seems to be, in my opinion, a very wrong statement. I was very hurt to question any of the members of the search committee, because I believe that they were totally in the correct mode in speaking on behalf of what was being done, doing through the search, and that they were not violating any laws or regulations of the state. So that, to me, right there was a false impression on the people that were on that committee, and I believe that they have kept the integrity of FAU at the forefront as they have gone through this process. Donors are having a hard time right now to believe in how can we support a school that, number one, has so many openings and so many questions that we are now waiting to find who's going to be the permanent captain of the ship. Until we find a president and make the interims either permanent or we have to do more searches, it's very hard to support a business that you don't know who's really driving the ship forward. The second thing is, I'm concerned that if we don't move forward with the 3 people, that they might pull their names, and we might have to go another 6 months in waiting for another selected group of people. I just feel like that this is prolonging what we have achieved in building a school instead of knocking it down. And I would like to see us work together as a team, not where we try to go after board members and try to knock down people's integrity. In closing, I would like to make this statement, and that is, questioning whether FAU is going to be an investment. We need to show that we have leadership. We need to show that we have the future at heart. We also need to be able to support the chair, Brad Levine, as he is trying to help this school stay on top of the grade A versus falling downward, and support the president, interim president. We need to move forward in this community and not try to attack one another. The second thing would be is that board members should always hear what the donors are saying and what the community's thoughts are. You are not a closed board. You are a board of representation of the faculty, of the students, and of the donors and the people of this community. I never went to FAU, but I am a philanthropist that believes in supporting things in my community. That is why I have given to many of the parts of the school a large amount of dollars, because I believe FAU is a success and is something that is very important to our community. So I hope that this board hears what these people are saying. I hope they move forward in giving the support to Chairman Brad Levine and the interim president. And I hope the squabbling by some of the trustees now completely stop, and let's unite together.
Mr. Plow, we have to move on, Mr. Plow. Thank you, though. Thank you. Next, we have Alan Barsky.
Thank you very much. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different on the agenda today. The Florida Educational Equity report is up for a vote, and my ask today is that the vote be to table the report subject to giving some time to make some changes to it. The report highlights many of the positives in terms of equity at FAU, in terms of, you know, the numbers and percentages of people from various cultural, ethnic, and gender backgrounds, which is all well and good. I think one of the things that's really missing is an environmental assessment. So going forward, what are some of the things that are going to help us or hurt us in terms of supporting equity? And some of the things that I wanted to highlight is, first of all, in terms of the data that's collected, in terms of gender, the only genders that are identified are male and female, which excludes people who identify as transgender and non-binary. Also, as part of an environmental scan, I think it would be helpful to identify some of the factors, including some of the laws like HB 7 and Senate Bill 266, which are going to limit discussion about certain issues related to race, racism, LGBT, gender, homophobia, and so on. I think what we're doing is we're sending out to our communities, not just at FAU, but across the state, that certain types of discussions and certain types of people are not welcome here. And just in terms of some of the discussion around the presidential search, I think the interference from the political part of the government is going to also create an impression that there are political litmus tests. If you wanted to be the president, or if you want to be on the board of trustees, or you want to even have tenure and promotions, you need to be of a particular political persuasion. So I think that it's up to not just the Board of Trustees of FAU and FAU's leadership, but perhaps working in conjunction with the presidents and the boards of trustees across the state to make it clear in types of reports or any opportunities that we have to let the government know that bills that promote, you know, fascism, that put limits on DEI and so on, are going to hurt, not help the faculty. I've had a number of faculty members who've talked with me about leaving the state, some who actually have already taken jobs outside of the state. Thank you. And I'm working on a recruitment committee, and you can hear from any of the candidates that are applying. They're asking questions about what's going on with the presidential search, what sort of academic freedom is there, and what type of political interferences they're going to be into the future. So again, thank you for all your work, and I hope that we get some clarity and some public advocacy from all of the boards of trustees and administrators on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. I got a message from Laura Friedkin. Is she back on the line? Ms. Friedkin, are you on? Okay. And our last public comment comes from Dr. William Trapani. Dr. Trapani, are you on?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Can you hear me, Andrew?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Good morning, trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. I'm excited, actually. Normally, when I come here, I complain, but I want to come and celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate at this institution. We have historic graduation rate improvement. We have wonderful retention improvement. Our gifting is as high as it's ever been or higher. We have social mobility scores off the charts. I could go on and on. How do we do those things? We do them through the things that have always held academics together. We plan, we organize together collaboratively, and we pay attention to results, right? And I want to talk about the presidential search in those same veins. We should be celebrating what was a wonderful search process. I want to thank Chair Levine. I want to thank the search committee, but especially Chair Levine, who went out of his way to find ways to give listening opportunities, to try to create opportunities for the community, to make sure the staff was well involved in this, to give additional listening opportunities when faculty asked for it. It's an indication of the way he's run the Board of Trustees since he took over, where he met with faculty. The faculty have responded. When we were asked, could we accelerate the timeline for the College of Dentistry? We kept to our process. We kept to our normal planning, but we accelerated that process. And what did we get? We got a good outcome and result. And just like that, we had a search that by all measure appears from public reports to have been handled correctly, to have yielded a significant, sizable number of well-qualified candidates. I don't know the three individuals personally that were named as finalists, but on paper, they all seem highly qualified for that job. And we should today be celebrating the result and work of this committee. And I dearly hope, as so many before me, that is allowed to continue. It is such a strange moment, and I don't really want to focus on that because I do want to focus on the achievements of the search committee and of the chair. But I've been studying rhetoric and politics for 25 years. It's what I do. I can't imagine a time where I would have seen trustees at this university or an unrelated university trashing a finalist for ethics violations. They're not lawyers. They don't know the case. I don't know why they're doing that to a decades-long service officer. I don't know why this trustee from a different university is insisting that some of our finalists be dropped before our search is allowed to continue. I don't understand why the Board of Governors seems more worried about an independent entity's private questionnaire, the data of which never went to the committee, played no role in the outcome of the committee, but we can have our hiring agents on that committee be longtime friends and donors and give them thousands of dollars to some of those applicants. That's just strange. Our process, our collaboration, our listening events, our efforts to work together to make this search effective worked. I dearly hope the Board of Governors is paying attention. I hope they step back and reflect on the damage that this is doing. And as Dr. Lauter said, every day that this passes is one more day people will look at our institution and wonder whether we are focused on process, collaboration, and result. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. That is all of our public comments, Chair Levine.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to the action items.